First story. Am I the a-hole for making all the women in my family leave after they all showed up to my wedding wearing white? I, 33-year-old male, have a large family. Mostly aunts and female cousins, aside from mom, stepmom, stepsister, and grandmother. I don't know how to say this, but all those women I mentioned above are into teasing and joking. They've formed a unit, which I admit is kind of toxic, and they'd tease and roast every new woman that enters the family by marriage, by setting up tests to see if they deserve to be part of the family, or roast their looks and styles to the point of breaking confidence and self-esteem down. Then, after a few months of teasing, they'd announce that they've finally welcomed them into the family. The newest member would join in on the teasing too, which is crazy, as my dad says. When I first introduced my then girlfriend, now wife, I made it clear that I didn't want any of the women in the unit to come at her or harass her, not even with a single word. They went behind my back and roasted her looks and job, and I discovered they've been doing it on Facebook. I had them apologize one by one after they gave the "we're just testing the waters to see if she's capable to be part of the family" excuse. They didn't want to apologize, but once I said I wouldn't invite any of the unit unless they apologize, including my mom, everyone immediately apologized and brought gifts for my wife. First of them was my stepmom and sister-in-law. My wedding was 2 weeks ago. There was talk about the women in the family wanting to pull a prank on my wife by wearing white, and called it the ultimate test to see how my wife reacts. My brother warned me, so I announced that if any one of them showed up in white, I'd have them kicked out, including my mom. They said this wasn't true, and they'd never do such a thing. But they showed up to my wedding one by one wearing white dresses, and each and every one of them was told to leave after they tried giving excuses by either making scenes or getting the men involved. The senior women of the unit, who are mom and aunts, also showed up in white, but refused to leave. I threatened to take harsher action, and mom was pissed, telling me to step aside, but I didn't let her in. I had her leave while the men in the family were watching stunned. Dad was on my side and supported me a lot. I felt absolutely awful because my wedding was being interrupted by them making scenes. My wife was hurt beyond measure, but the women in the family were pissed. My cousin blasted me on social media later, saying I excluded all the women from the wedding because my wife was so insecure she couldn't handle another woman's presence at her wedding. I had an argument with them and mom berated me, saying it was supposed to be a prank, but I said they were taking it too far. Mom said I took it too far by kicking them out because they were trying to get reactions from my wife to see if she was one of those bridezillas and were going to change soon as prank was over. But I ruined my own and entire wedding by reacting so aggressively. I stopped talking after she said I had to bring my wife and apologize. I haven't seen the lot of them in 2 weeks, and they've excluded me from everything. Was I the a-hole for how I handled this? I just want to explain that A, this has been happening for years. The men in the family are split on this behavior. Some of them encourage it, like my uncle and my cousin's husband. One is now an ex. And some are against it, like me and my dad and brother. B, the women claim there's nothing hurtful in what they do, because they claimed they're just looking out for us men, and that their goal ultimately is to make sure the women who enter the family are decent. C, my dad always ends up arguing with my mom and grandmother, since they're the ones who started this whole thing with their behavior and attitude towards other women. D, and I'm not sure if I should mention this, but my male cousin, who's a middle schooler, said he'd make sure to leave the country before even meeting any woman because of this, and it made me chuckle. Also, the dresses they showed up in were simple white dresses. Nothing over the top, but still were white dresses. I realized they went ahead with their plans, even after I stated what I'd do in that case. Now the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your family is toxic, and I'm so sad for your wife that they would do that. But also so happy for her that she has a husband who will support her and have her back. I'm sorry, your family tried to hijack your wedding for a power play, but you did the right thing. and your marriage will be stronger because of it. Not the a-hole. What is going on with the women in your family? And how did you come out so normal and with such healthy boundaries? If I had been your wife, I would have gotten into a fist fight with your mother and aunts by now, so I command her class and patience. Your mother is frankly being a terrible mother by treating your wife like this. What happens when you have a daughter? Is she going to get tested also? This behavior is so bizarre and immature. When, not if, your mother decides to contact you again, tell her she's had her fun, but it's time to grow up and learn how to behave normally. It's a family, not a sorority. And if she wants to be allowed to see her future grandkids, she needs to smarten up. She's missing out on having her wonderful wife as a daughter and friend. And she will miss out on more if she continues to be toxic. I think you're completely justified in everything you did. This behavior has been there for years, unfortunately. It's normalized by everyone. I gotta say, we have a family dynamic where the women are the ones dominating everything, starting with my mom and grandmother. I hate their attitude and hate that they act this way instead of being extra loving and welcoming to new female family members. I said female because they don't pull this stuff with man marrying into the family. It only happened once and it created a rift in the unit. Second story. Am I the a-hole for what I said when my husband told his family, basically, I handle everything in the house? So me, 26-year-old female, and my husband, 29-year-old male, recently got married. We both contribute to household chores, but me more than him, even after we made separate schedules and split chores equally. He'd ask me for favors like fix the kitchen faucet for me, deal with the bugs in the backyard, etc., which are originally his chores, but because he said he had to finish work or complain from being tired, then I handled them happily and without hesitation. We were visiting his parents for the first time since we got married. My mother-in-law and I were talking about home duties and whatnot. My father-in-law asked my husband how marriage life was treating him, and my husband sighed and said, "Oh man," then started talking about how exhausted he was from handling almost all responsibilities and taking on so many chores this past week, from fixing the kitchen faucet, dealing with bugs in the backyard, taking our dog to the vet, cleaning the entire basement, which are all things I did for him. But clearly he was trying to take credit and kept on about how he does most chores around the house and working as well, so he had no me time. He said, "Basically, I handle everything in the house," while smug smiling. I was taken aback completely. I said, "Hold on, because literally all the stuff he mentioned was done by me." His parents were like, "Huh?" He kept staring at me confused as I explained in details how I handled each and every one of those chores, which should have originally had been done by him, but he kept making excuses to get out of it. I even shared pictures I took and posted on Facebook, especially the basement, like before and after pictures. I told him no more favors from now on if this is how he's gonna play. Silence followed, and the entire family side-eyed my husband as he kept looking away. He didn't say anything till we got home. That's where he pointed out how I was wrong for how I responded, and should have just either agreed or said nothing at all. But apparently made him feel incompetent in front of his family. We argued and he apologized for saying what he said, and asked me to apologize so we could move past this. But I refused and said I was being treated in an unfair manner, since I worked hard to do him those favors. Now the top comments. Not the a-hole. He made you look lazy in front of your in-laws. And not only did he lie about taking the brunt of household responsibilities, but he specifically brought up chores that you both know you did. That is not okay, and is purposefully putting you down in front of others. Not a great start to a marriage. Not the a-hole. This would really bother me. Not only did he lie, but he did it in a way to make you look bad. I would be very cautious and watch out to be sure this doesn't become a pattern. I would be really uncomfortable with the whole thing. Not the a-hole, and I'd rethink this marriage. That's a wild thing to say based on this one story. I know, but hear me out. It's 2021, babe. Pink, Lady Gaga, and Beyonce have not spent our lifetimes amassing wealth and power for us to let some freaking man shunt his work onto his wife and then lie about it. Because that's my thing. He's tired from work, so you took over the chores to make sure they got done, like a good life partner. Big ups to you because that can get frustrating, but instead you've taken it as opportunities to learn how to fix up your own home or get whatever project done. Even bigger ups to you for that. And then this dude gets you in front of his family, tells them all about how you're such a pretty piece of arm candy that you laze about all day while he handles everything in the house. And then, to make matters worse, when you correct him with proof that he's outright lying, he tells you that you should have held your tongue and let him? Honey, welcome to the rest of your life married to a liar that expects you to support his lies at your own expense. I know it seems like throwing away this relationship might be a world-ending thing, but it's not. You're 26 years old. You'll bounce back and find another marriage if that's what you want. You deserve a life partner that will proudly tell their family that you fixed all those things, because they're grateful for the help around the house and also because they're proud of the job you did. It doesn't have to be like it is now. Last story. Am I the a-hole for demanding that my son's stepdad pay for the Xbox he threw in the pool? I am 46 years old, a father of a 16-year-old son, Adam. His mother and I have been separated since he was 6. Adam is always happy to spend time at my place as part of custody agreement. He hates his stepdad, he's in his 30s, and calls him controlling. He puts strict rules upon Adam and punishes him for long periods of time over small mistakes. He doesn't give him any allowance like I do, or let his mom give him any money. So Adam started working to be able to buy the stuff he wants. Adam always wanted to buy an Xbox, but couldn't afford the full price, so I told him whatever he saved, I was willing to pay double, and he was able to buy a new Xbox for the first time weeks ago. I got an angry phone call from his stepdad asking why the hell I bought Adam an Xbox, knowing that it's not allowed at his house. First of all, I told him Adam paid for the Xbox with his hard-earned money. And second of all, that's his mom's house, so he can't dictate what is and what is not allowed. He went on about how the Xbox is a distraction tool for Adam from his school and chores, but I assured him Adam is responsible with time and can manage and balance just fine. He suggested I keep the Xbox in my house, and Adam can come over to play, but I said that's not up to me. Clearly I got him pissed, so he warned me about the consequences of seeing Adam playing with that Xbox and ignoring his duties. I hung up immediately. 2 days later, Adam called and was freaking out, saying his stepdad had a rage fit and threw his Xbox in the pool as a punishment for Adam for playing with it instead of mowing the lawn. I was in dismay. I went over to his mom's house to see what was going on, but I didn't find her. I found Adam crying. I confronted his stepdad, and he said he had to do this because Adam was being neglectful with his chores, and said this was the result of built-up resentment because of Adam's continuous lack of responsibility. I argued that even if he thought Adam was being irresponsible with his playing time, throwing the Xbox in the pool was unhinged of him, because he could have hidden it for all I know. He yelled that he gets to decide what punishment fits, and went on about how he was just trying to help Adam become a responsible young man. I was tired of this. I told Adam to pack his stuff to go to my place. His stepdad firmly said he won't allow it, and that I was preventing him from performing his duties as a father and an authority figure. But I told him he needed to pay for a new Xbox. He argued that I was delusional for expecting him to pay for something he doesn't want in his house in the first place, but I said that was enough, then left. Adam's mother came and argued with me, saying her husband made a mistake, but I shouldn't have taken Adam out of the house. I asked if she's happy with how his stepdad is treating him, and she said that's tough love, because he wouldn't have done this if he didn't care. I blatantly said her husband was just being an overbearing, power-tripping control freak, and told her Adam is staying with me and we're expecting a new Xbox. She told the family I was stopping her from seeing Adam. Edit. I've always wanted Adam to stay with me, seeing he doesn't agree with his stepdad on a lot of things. But the reason for being hesitant about having him most of the time, if not all, is because of two things, which are the fact that I travel for work and also because of the health problems I struggle with in the past few years. Although Adam is responsible enough to do so many things on his own. His stepdad already apologized on the phone, but I insisted on getting this resolved instead of ignoring what happened. Now the top comments. That man is abusive. Get the custody agreement changed and take your ex's husband to small claims if he doesn't pay up. I would also go to the police and report the damages done to the Xbox, so you have a paper trail. Protect your son, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Stepdad is abusing Adam. If Adam wants to live with you, OP, he is old enough to decide that. Your ex is not putting his best interests first. What she calls tough love is actually abuse. I want him to come live with me, but his mother is rejecting the idea and is trying to guilt him into staying with her. She even threatened me for allegedly committing parental alienation, even though I'm not. I'm just making sure Adam has a good and a stable home to live in, not the a-hole. In the US, Adam is old enough to decide if he wants to continue shared custody or if he wants to stay with just one parent. I would suggest you check with Adam on what he wants to do, and then, depending on his answer, take his mother to court. The fact that his stepdad warned you that something might happen to the Xbox sounds to me that he was planning something from the beginning and took the first opportunity to destroy the console. Throwing it in the pool seems like an extreme reaction to him not mowing the lawn. What kind of co-parenting relationships do you have? Does he have similar chores or responsibilities at both houses?